From WDWNT, the worldwide leader in Disney Parks news, this is ParksCenter. What is going on? Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm Rob Whiteside. This is ParksCenter. Thank you so much for joining us. And tonight joining us is Mr. Patrick Hackett.
How's everyone doing?
Don't scare me like that. Jill Diffendahl.
Hello.
Kamila Sanders.
Hello.
And Mr. Pete Carney.
Sivako. Happy Wednesday, everyone.
Woo! Man, we are ready to rock now. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We were not, we got March Madness going on, so we're definitely going to talk about March Madness. But we had a couple other things that happened. There was a shareholders meeting, and they talked about a few things that we thought we'd like to talk about a little bit. One of them is that Remy's Ratatouille adventure has an opening date now, and it is fully booked. If you are planning on going to see Remy on October 1st, the date that it opens, it is fully booked. But that will be the same day that they open up the rest of the France expansion, which also includes the Creperie, and so it's finally happening. We finally have a date. I'm a little disappointed about this date. Jill, what are you thinking about all this? Oh, I can't hear you. Don't scare me like that.
October 1st. Sorry, yeah, I was having mic issues prior to the show, sorry. I don't understand why this needs to happen. So, because I think we pretty much realized that the ride is like completely done at this point, or very close to it. We've been thinking it's going to open like any day now. So my guess is that they've picked October 1st because they know they have so little to go on for the 50th anniversary. There is so little. They had so much planned for the 50th. They thought, Guardians would be open, or Tron, or like all this other stuff was supposed to be ready. We thought we'd have Space 220 a year ago. And so they've got so little to go on that they're saving Remy for October 1st because there's nothing else to really open at that point.
Yeah, I've done press events there before, and they want to roll out as much as they possibly can. And other than some golden gates and maybe some decorations on the castle and some light up like beacons, yeah, I don't know what else that they would do with that. But Patrick, you probably planned your whole trip around this, didn't you?
No, because I knew that the parks were sold out October 1st before I even tried to make a single reservation. I think it's to draw some of the crowd from Magic Kingdom. Someone in the chat put Animal Kingdom's about to be lit on October 1st. They're going to have to do something. Epcot and Magic Kingdom are going to be jam-packed. Hollywood Studios is always packed. I really like this attraction. I think it has a couple flaws. I certainly hope they fix the flaws. But it's a fun ride. It's not anything to book a park pass over, but it's fun and it's good.
Yeah. Kamila, thoughts?
I mean, I think all of this just kind of means that October 1st is really going to be a key date for, I think, a lot of things. If you're wondering things like, when do we think fireworks are going to come back? When do we think some key shows are going to come back? I think this kind of shows they're targeting October 1st as a date for when the parks start to feel more normal again.
Yeah. Pete, anything to add?
I think they all make great points. I was one of the people who did get that October 1st for Epcot when they announced it right away. But what I think it's big too, because I actually just am happy I have Epcot, because I plan on not rope dropping, which I do plan on doing. But I plan on park hopping over to MK, because I'm assuming their stuff will be lasting all day, or maybe we'll see some stuff at night. Fingers crossed. But everyone else kind of made all the points I was going to make, which are all fantastic points. Also, I believe this will soft open before October 1st. Just to put it out there.
Yeah, there haven't been a lot of soft opens recently, but it seems like it's ready to rock for that, so hopefully that will be the case.
Also wonder, too, is if they didn't want to ruin these ride vehicles and put up plexiglass.
I thought that as well, yeah.
October 1st, most of the country should be vaccinated. They might still be enforcing masks, but maybe they won't feel the need to ruin these brand new ride vehicles with plexiglass.
Yep. No, I agree with that.
Interesting.
So moving on to talking about, you mentioned it, Pete. We're talking about the park reservation system, which I'm ready for this to be on. But so there's this article we have on our site that says that there are a lot more passes available right now for pass holders. Then there's also this one about that they've changed the category names for select resorts for being able to get the benefit, and then also that they're completely booked up for spring break, which is is kind of sad. If you were planning a trip there and you didn't get your park passes, maybe you don't go. Again, let me throw this one to you, Jill. Any thoughts on this?
So I struggle with our article that says that suddenly park passes favor annual pass holders. I think that's a significant jump in logic at best. I don't think anything about the system has changed, especially not to benefit annual pass holders. Like, Disney is doing zero right now to benefit annual pass holders. Here's why I think there are park passes available for APs and not for other groups. A, they know it's spring break and they're staying away. B, probably the vast majority of annual pass holders right now have one park pass tied up on October 1st because they've all booked either MK or Epcot for October 1st. And so now you only have 2 park passes you can function with, not 3. And spring break, or rather Easter blackout dates are coming up soon. So I think there's reasons that there are passes available for pass holders and not for other groups. And I don't think there's any actual evidence to say that those things are related or that any changes have happened to the system that suddenly they're giving some sort of preference to annual pass holders. Because the idea of Disney doing anything to give preference or favor to annual pass holders is like laughable at this point. So
let me throw that to Kamila, our planner. How are you feeling about that?
I mean, I literally was just emailing with someone today who wanted to go in early April, and the first thing I said was there's not very much park pass availability for those dates. Magic Kingdom may be a tough one to try to visit. Do you have any flexibility to go later in the month? So it's definitely impacting resort guests. The interesting thing about people who are traveling right now, they're making these decisions just a couple of weeks or a couple of months out. It's not the 6 months to a year time frame. And so that's what makes it a little scary. And the only thing I can say to anyone who's thinking about visiting the parks really anytime this year, don't wait. Get your deposit in. It's only a $200 deposit if you book it with the travel agent. It's fully refundable if you need to change or modify, but rooms are going quicker, and also park passes are going quicker, and I only expect that to continue into the summer.
Yeah, Patrick, you've got a trip planned for your birthday around the big 50th. Have you already booked your plans, or are you going to be stuck at Animal Kingdom?
I will probably be stuck at Saratoga Springs as per usual. No, I haven't booked yet. I think that we're getting a glimpse into the future here. This is going to be how things might develop, that you're going to see preference being given to the resort guests, and even further, being given to the deluxe resort guests. I think we should be preparing for the brave new world that has such people in it.
Gotcha. Okay. Pete, thoughts? Oh, he's muted. No, don't be muted, Pete. Don't be muted.
Oh, I'm back. What I was saying is basically I was very surprised too, kind of like Jill, that when I looked at it, I actually noticed it right before we published the article that I was like, wow, for resort guests and for people who are purchasing same day tickets were blocked out, but I had some green days, and I thought that was super strange. I just assumed it was a glitch. We'll see if it gets corrected. Because like Jill said, I mean, we don't get much love as annual pass holders, at least not as much as we used to. Like, you really felt special years ago. There was tons of special events, and now it's just like, hey, thanks for giving us your money. We know you're not going anywhere, and if you do, there's someone waiting in line to take your spot. So we're just gonna kind of give you whatever. But yeah, park pass reservation systems, I don't think this is going away. I think this is going to be around for a long, long time, sadly. And I agree with Patrick that you made a great point about Disney is more in a money talks mode right now, especially with this current, CEO and this administration, we'll call it. between the Club 33 benefits and if you have money, you're going to get that preferential treatment right now at Disney, which, I mean, congrats to all those people who have the money out there, but for everybody else who's kind of like struggling to get along and wants to get their Disney fix, it's going to be a tough go of it, I think, for at least another year from today.
Okay, I'm going to move on to Disneyland. They announced that Disneyland is going to be opening that it can open on April 1st, and I can't even tell you, because of how much I've been whining about this all along, how many people immediately reached out and was like, oh, well, Rob, you can shut up now. They're going to be opening Disneyland. But I was like, oh, okay, let me check out this article, and it said that they are allowed now to open up by April 1st, but there's this fine print at the bottom that says that it's for California residents only, and I'm just like, okay, that's not me, but how quick can I get a place in California? Would it be worth it to do that? So,
my joke tonight, so Rob bought a place in California.
Yeah, exactly. So at the same time, this Touch of Disney, since the last we talked to you friends, the Touch of Disney tickets went on sale and sold out. So they've got all those going on. So then Mr. Chapek announced that the Disneyland park will not open until probably late April, which seems to line up pretty well with the fact that they've sold all these tickets. And then we also have the announcement that Avengers Campus will not open with the park. So, Kamila, I want to talk to you about this because you did get tickets to the Touch of Disney event, didn't you?
I did, and I also just want to start by saying I called it. Disneyland was going to open sooner than we thought. I feel like I literally just said that in one of the last few episodes, but I think that's really exciting news, even though it's for California residents only in the beginning. I'd be surprised if by summer it wasn't open more broadly, but that's exciting. A Touch of Disney was... So I was able to get tickets, which is great. It was a mess trying to get tickets. The first thing about it is we knew tickets were going to go on sale, like what day, but we didn't know what time. So a lot of people, myself included, stayed up until midnight Pacific time, which was 1 o'clock my time, trying to see if that's when they would go on sale, and they didn't. And so then, I mean, I got lucky because I have Twitter notifications turned on for, you know, people who are in the know for certain updates. And I just happened to see, like, here's the link to get into the queue. So I get into the queue thinking, oh, I'm going to be able to get tickets pretty soon. It was definitely a 5-hour wait. And of course, when I finally am in the queue after that 5-hour wait, I was in a meeting in real life, so it was kind of interesting. Like, I was presenting, but I was also like checking out. So, I mean, it was kind of a mess, but I was able to get tickets. I didn't get tickets for the dates I wanted, but I'm just thrilled to have a date and a set of tickets.
Yeah. Jill, you were trying to get tickets to this too, is that right?
I did. I just kind of wanted to see what was going to happen. So yeah, when it opened up, it was exactly that, like Kamila said, where no one had any idea what time the tickets were going to go on sale. So, you know, it wasn't midnight Pacific time, but then it also wasn't 7 a.m. Pacific time, and it wasn't 8 a.m. Pacific time. And I think it was finally 9. I think at 11:30 East Coast time, it popped up that it was like tickets will open soon, and you will be put into a virtual queue. And then you got put into the virtual queue, and then I think my queue time said you will have over an hour wait. And then about an hour in, it all of a sudden was like, okay, we're the queue has been
tickets.
Paused. Yes, pausing ticket sales. And then it kind of sat that way for a long time. Eventually, they updated with a message that said there are still tickets left, but we're pausing the queue. The queue will reopen, and you will maintain your place in line. And then finally, it was probably 3 to 4 hours before I was able to get in. And at that point, everything was available. It was funny because the one thing I noticed was they said you will have 10 minutes to check out. But then it was no after, and it wasn't even 10 minutes. It was like every 15 or 20 minutes, a little window would pop up that said, like, are you still making your decision? Or I don't remember what the box said. But as long as I kept clicking yes, I could stay in and kind of refresh the page and watch as like dates disappeared on the schedule. And then it took hours. Like, it wasn't until that night that all the tickets sold out, but they definitely sold out in the first day, like in the first 12 hours or less, I think. Yeah. But they were also
and they
only,
had to
I think
add
it's like
2 weeks.
Yeah.
So,
but I wonder, like Rob said, I'm very curious whether this Touch of Disney event is like factored into when they are choosing to open the park.
Yeah, so Pete,
I think they were going to put a bumper on it either way. Sorry to cut you off, Rob. I mean, I don't have much to add. I was going to say that I think because the state is saying as early as April 1st, Disney's like, we don't want to have everything ready, and then like something comes up or something pops up, or like let's give it a little bit of a buffer. Like even here in Orlando, when parks were starting to reopen, Disney opted, if everyone remembers, to be like behind everybody else, just to kind of, I feel like, make sure they can kind of learn from everyone else's mistakes. And make sure they're prepared, or if, for any reason government changes their mind on that date. And also, I don't think Disney's too upset. Oh, boo-hoo, they had to add more dates for Touch of Disney. They're printing money at these events. All they're doing is go. It's an ATM, and they have the keys to it. And that's.
But especially with pass holders canceled in Disneyland now, there is no way they are making anywhere near as much money on Touch of Disney as they would be if the parks were fully reopened. Like that's a night and day amount of cash clearance that they're doing between one versus the other. But no, they
totally
can't
agree.
go
but
back.
I'm thinking that with parks closed, having this ticketed event is like, let's go.
Yeah.
Yep.
I bet. Like, I wonder. It's almost like Gavin Newsom was like, Disney announced this event. It was literally like a day or two later that they said theme parks can reopen. Like, I wonder if it was just like, you've been like on me for a year now about this, so guess what? I'm gonna let you do it as soon as I know you can't for another like 6 weeks.
Is
it's
that
like if Florida was closed for a year, I feel like it would be like them charging admission to go to Disney Springs. Like, yeah, you can come shop and you can come eat, and you're going to have to pay for both those things, but we're going to want your money to come into Disney Springs. And you'd be like, I guess I have to pay to go to Disney Springs.
Fine. Just throw up your hands.
So, changing now, we promised March Madness. If you guys are just joining us for the first time tonight, welcome. But we do a thing that we've done for many years where we have March Madness on WDW News Tonight. They do a March Madness every year, and they do a bracket of something Disney, and this year it was ride vehicles, and as ParksCenter, we go in and we kind of basically judge them. That's what we do. We go in and we say, did they make the right decision? Was there lobbying happening? Were people misled? What was going on? What was happening? This year with the ride vehicles, there were 64 in the bracket. Actually, there were 63, and what they did is they started out with a death match to figure out which ride vehicle which ride vehicles were going to be added. So I can't quite fit that in. But so basically, they took a look at 9 vehicles that were not included, that didn't make the final cut, and they had a little bit of a death match to see which one would be the one moving forward into the bracket. So we have the Carousel of Progress Theater over here. We got the Mermaid Shell from Ariel. We've got the Magic Carpets, Triceratops Spin, the module from Mission Space, the boat from Mexico, the car from Main Street, this sort of Doom Buggy knockoff from the, I think it was If You Had Wings, and then the Discovery River boats from Animal Kingdom, which Patrick pointed out earlier, like 3 people ever had ridden these. So these were the things I started with. Our panel is ready. Patrick is all dressed up now and ready to go and talk about stuff, making the rest of us look bad. And there goes Pete. So did they make the right decision here with the one that they moved on?
I don't know. It's definitely a unique ride vehicle, and I think we're trying to separate the vehicle from the attraction. And a lot of my negative experience has to do with the attraction, but it also has a ton of buttons that don't do anything. They praised Spaceship Earth for being interactive, and of course everybody loves Horizons and all of the pushing buttons there. But I think that if the buttons actually did something, it meant something, maybe. I think the Clammobile, the change of the Omni Mover to the clamshells, I think it fits the theme of the attraction. It's unique. It's different. A clam could be a boat, and you know how I feel about boats, Kamila.
No.
Woo!
See,
no.
You had me until you talked about the boat. The Clammobile is what I wanted and what I thought should have moved on. I mean, it's so good. They use it for 2 different attractions. It's comfortable. It's fun. It helps you, like you're in the ride, right? You're underwater. I thought it was the wrong choice.
And you know what? In this, they really only came down to 2. I mean, it seemed to be an argument between 2, didn't it, Jill?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I guess, like, it frustrated me because I feel like it didn't matter what they picked because whatever they picked was going to go down immediately because there was such whatever won was going to get played against the Mad Tea Party teacups, and there was so much like surprisingly overwhelming support for the teacups that nothing would have stood a chance in this spot. So I feel like it kind of didn't matter.
Yeah,
that's the exact point I was going to make is why do they spend so much time on this death match? Like, they really should have asked the question, is anything here going to be teacups? That's what really just was the only question. You could pick any of these 7. Is anything going to beat the teacup? And it's no, because again, and I think it's important for the audience, if you guys don't know about March Madness, with the ride vehicle, it has nothing to do with the ride itself. We're talking strictly the vehicle. So it could be the greatest ride ever with a bad vehicle, so it's going to get voted out. Or it could be the worst ride ever with an amazing vehicle. Like teacups, for me, as a ride, is something I need to go on once every 24 months. That's once every 2 years, and I'm happy. Like, I don't want to just go on a ride and spin in the middle of a hot Magic Kingdom. However, the ride vehicle is so iconic that it's on every promotion, it's on every plush, it's on every, and it's its own ride. Like, people say, what are you going to go on next? They say, the teacups. They don't really say that about a lot of other vehicles. Like, no one says, like, I'm going to go on the clam show. Like, it's just, so, again,
there's
you have to
even
remember
a teacup.
that it's strictly the vehicle.
There's a teacup in the D-Style store at Disney Springs that like is a photo op, so you can go and sit down inside a teacup and take your picture. Like, that's how iconic that is, that people actively do that on a regular basis.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the meat of this. So let's break this down just by group, and I want to start with Patrick and say, based on this first group, looking at the matchups here, were there any surprises that you saw, Patrick, that you were like you were like that shouldn't have gone that way, or you were shocked that how it went?
Oh yeah, the horse-drawn trolley beating Tower of Terror is almost unforgivable. It is a travesty of justice. I mean, you think about the Tower of Terror vehicle, it was revolutionary. Pete talked about the special that was on it. It is an attraction that is simply too legit to quit. There's no way anything should beat that ride, especially that early. The horse-drawn trolley's fine, but who's actually been on it? You have to rope drop and get in line. You don't even know when it's coming out. You need like a secret handshake to get on it.
Yep.
True.
All right. Kamila, what do you think about all this stuff?
One of the things I noticed, and I remember when I was watching it, the People Mover ride vehicle, which I feel like it's very good. That probably would have been my choice, but the fact that everyone voted for it and nobody voted for the Runner-Mack Railroad, I love the People Mover, but when we think about the ride vehicle, I mean, it's great, but it's so simple. And, it's just blue. I don't know. Or what is it? Blue and gray. But I don't know. That just surprised me.
No, I agree with you. I think that a lot of people hate on Run-Amok Railroad and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. But I think that vehicle versus the People Mover vehicle, as iconic as People Mover is, Jill, they both have toys. So which one? There's a train for it.
I own both of those toys.
There you go. So.
Yeah, look, here's my thing. First of all, completely agree about Tower of Terror. That was the disaster of the entire first round. Like, absolutely this bracket, but the entire first round, that was the thing that I think was the most egregious mistake that was made. But here's the other thing, to Kamila's point and kind of all of this. There is no way. Like, here's the thing. The panel is supposed to be separating the ride vehicle itself out from the ride. That is not happening. And frankly, I don't think there's any way for that to happen. Like, how are you legitimately supposed to, like, look, drop any of these ride vehicles in your backyard. How much are you going to go sit in any of them? You know what I mean? Like, it's just...
A lot.
The ride vehicle is.
I was gonna say.
I wouldn't pick any of these. to me, I look at it like, which one of these ride vehicles would you want to take to work? Like, that is more iconic.
That's a good one.
That's a good point.
Yeah. All right.
Like, if I could take, like, I love boats too. I'm on Team Patrick I love a lot of boat love. But I'm with you guys. Like, I think, honestly, and this is so rare for me, is a few takeaways. One is I was shocked that I agree with everything but one, and it was just the Tower of Terror. Every other thing I kind of agreed with, but the Tower of Terror is just too iconic to be for a horse-drawn trolley. And the reason, and I get like the arguments that they were making that like coming down Main Street, that you can ride in it. It's also used for a show, so you get to ride in a show vehicle. But it's still just a horse-drawn trolley. They're all over the country. They're everywhere. It's not that iconic. It's not like Disney invented the horse-drawn trolley. He just said, hey, this is with the times. You know, like it's like saying the railroad around Disney should win the whole thing because Disney loved trains and put one around the Magic Kingdom. It's not. It's cool and it's iconic, but like the Tower of Terror changed the game. It set up future ride vehicles. It still holds up to this day. It not only is a trackless ride vehicle, it locks in, it goes up and down. It's literally amazing, and it's a shame because I mean, even if it won, it would have gone up against the Nautilus, which I think would. Again, that was my second point, and then I'll kind of be quiet about this half. Is who is seating these things? And I know who it is, but I believe I think since we started ParksCenter with kind of like critiquing and previewing March Madness every week, I think next year is if Tom or whoever does the seating has their 64, I think we should seed them in a way that would make it more fair. Some of these, like fact that like the Flight of Passage link chair is out in the first round is crazy because that should be going deep too. That's an amazing vehicle. Like it's breathing between your legs.
And the fact that it didn't.
You. Yeah, and the fact that it's gone out of the corner
seeds weren't done properly. Yeah.
So I'm just saying I think the seating was a bit off here as well. And again, I believe it should lose to the Jungle Cruise boat. Jungle Cruise boat is too iconic,
right.
And it is the ride. Where unlike the link chair is just a vessel for the ride, the Jungle Cruise boat is the ride. But again, the fact that it's eliminated in the first round with only 7 points is wild.
Means that one of them were seated wrong.
We need to address for next year. But I mean, the Tower of Terror elevator, it broke my heart.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right. Well, I want to cut back to Patrick, and I want to ask you. I'm going to move to this next bracket, and it's the one with where we're looking at here with Big Thunder Mountain Trains, Super Stretch Limo, Kali River. Were there any big mistakes, big missteps in this one?
I don't know if there was any big mistakes or missteps in this one. It seemed pretty straightforward. I thought the Super Stretch winning over the Friendship Boat is a little but I think I'm taking the ride into consideration there. It's a very cool ride vehicle. Once again, not separating the ride from the vehicle. The Slinky Dog is a great vehicle. It is a little bit of an upgrade from Mine Train. But the Kali River Raft, I'm pretty sure I helped push that past the Space Rocket. I feel kind of bad about it, but not really because vote. It seemed to go the way it could. I'm actually surprised that our Epcot fanboys didn't push harder for the Hydrolator, and I'm glad that it didn't win because it is literally an elevator, and there's no need for that that's not a ride vehicle. You're talking about all the stuff that's going on around it.
Yeah. Jill, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I don't know that Slinky Dog necessarily... Well, I personally think Slinky Dog should have won the competition. I don't think it's like a serious travesty or anything that it didn't, but I do think it's really, I don't think it was fair at all that it got so much hate. It's not just that it didn't get votes, it got a lot of hate from the panelists, and I don't understand because I think Slinky Dog is a lot of fun. I think Marcy's the only one that really defended it, and I don't know. I feel like, again, that was a case where hate for the ride itself or hate, it's not just I love the ride and therefore I'm voting for the ride vehicle, it's I hate the ride and therefore I'm voting against the ride vehicle. I think we saw a lot of that. There is a lot of systemic bias happening in this March Madness competition that is ride-based and not ride vehicle-based.
Okay, and when we're talking about the motor car, we're talking about the Mr. Toad's Wild Ride motor car. I mean, that's something. I mean,
I'm not saying Slinky Dog should have won. I don't think it's. I just think it got a lot of hate in the conversation.
No, I was just clarifying for people who might not know because I mean, I think that Slinky Dog is actually a better vehicle, whether you hate or love the ride or not. And again, there's a lot of nostalgia behind this. So that brings in the question, should nostalgia play a factor in this too? Because I think it did more times than it should have. Kamila, what do you think?
I completely agree. There were so many times watching them talk about these rides that they were not talking about the ride vehicle. They were talking about the nostalgia they had for a ride. As someone who feels like sometimes nostalgia is what kind of can hold the parks back a little bit, because people hold on to things and they don't want to try something new or see what else. And, you know, I get they don't always love the outcome. But I really felt like that was happening a lot. And I think it held back some really great options. And I agree with Pete. I really like thinking about these rides of like, what would you like to drive to work? Because I think that makes you think about them in a different way, and it helps you to see the actual ride vehicle and its theming.
Yeah, Pete?
I know I went over on my last one. So all I'll say is I have no issues with any of the bottom half. Everything you guys just said, I pretty much agree with that. I think some of them should have been a closer fight. But again, I would vote the same way on almost every single one of this bottom half here. I do, and Slinky Dog was one that was like kind of a stutter step for me, so you guys are making a good point. But again, it is just kind of like a roller coaster, and I do think you have to use a little bit of nostalgia with the motor car. Because again, like, no one is hanging. I mean, people love Slinky Dog, like they have the headbands and everything else. But again, like that motor car from Mr. Toad, people are still like want to take a picture with it outside of the ride, even if it's not even moving. It's that iconic. So I think the motor car should have won, but again, I think it should have been closer. And also, I have an idea for a show. I would love to see a behind the scenes tour of how these were seated. Thank you.
Nice. Well done. Good job.
Can I also just say, I thought the conversation they had about the Rise of Resistance vehicle and the Honey Pot was really interesting because it went longer than I feel like the vote kind of shows. And there was some real consideration for the Honey Pot, which kind of surprised me just because I feel like Disney people love their animatronics, and they should. Disney is very good at them, and that's a ride that literally has an animatronic connected. So I just was surprised how long that conversation went.
Okay. All right, Patrick, I'm going to go back up to you on this one. So we're looking at the top
Top right?
section. Yeah, top section right there. So, I mean, looking down at this one, you know, I'm not sure of anything in here. Anything that they may have misstepped on?
No, I think this actually went pretty much as you expected it to go. The hang glider should not be that close with the swirling saucer. It's a good attraction. It's a fun ride vehicle, but it's not even the best form of that vehicle. Obviously, with Mater, and I do believe one of the foreign parks is getting a frozen version of that, they're going to look a lot better. The hang glider, just like the Tower of Terror elevator, these are iconic things that change the game. We don't ever get the link chair without the hang glider. I mean, we've all seen the special. We've all seen the erector set. It's huge. And Safari Truck should have won flat out over the Reed boat. You know me, I'm vote boats. But the Safari Truck is an iconic ride vehicle, and it should get a lot more love.
Yeah. Jill?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think any of these votes were wrong. I don't think anything that moved on didn't deserve to move on in this round. This is probably, and I appreciate like the one that was closest, and this may have been the closest matchup in the entire first round, was the game tram from Toy Story Mania versus and this is the old Seven Dwarfs, Snow White Scary Adventures Dwarf Minecart. I think that that was a good conversation, and I think it was also like that was one where it's like I think they weighed how sort of important to the ride that the game tram is. I mean, that really kind of, you can't have the ride without that. But there is still a lot of nostalgia for the minecart. And I don't know, maybe if Snow White had never gone away, I don't know that vote would have gone the same way. But then again, you know, I think there's an inherent problem with attempting to remove your nostalgia and your feelings about the ride from the way you're going to argue this competition.
But speaking of nostalgia, can we talk about the Splash Mountain log?
Yes.
I was really surprised about that one because I can remember as a kid, every time you would see the little Disney World commercials, it was someone going down in that Splash Mountain log. Like, I don't even ride Splash Mountain, but I know that log. And to me, that's so iconic. All of the memes and it's an image that they always show. So I just was surprised at that one, I was surprised at the outcome of that one.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the only one where I think it was a misstep is because Axel was making the joke about I'm not old enough to remember this and I'm not old enough to remember that. Well, I rode Mike Fink keelboats when I was a little kid, and I would still, Splash Mountain all the way. It's iconic. It's a better, and the Disney World version, I think, and we talked about this, I think is a better version than the Disneyland version of that log. Sorry.
I think you can get that log in. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
you
go ahead.
can get that log in any theme park. It's a standard log flume log. We have nostalgia behind it because of the attraction that's attached to it. The Mike Fink keelboats are a lot different. They're very unique. And I think once we had that really detailed picture thrown up on the screen, the whole panels changed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look,
seeing the visual.
Patrick is literally saying, "Oh, go ahead, Joe."
I was just going to say, real quick, the other thing is the Splash Mountain log is literally the smelliest ride vehicle in the entire Walt Disney World.
If you mean it smells like Walt Disney World water and it's fantastic, then you're correct.
Yes, that one. Go, Pete.
I literally was just going to say exactly what Patrick said, is that when I first got the bracket before even watching last week's show, is I literally had to Google what a Mike Fink keelboat was. However, when I saw the picture of it, even before they argued about it, because Splash Mountain's iconic. One, I love the ride. I think it's one of the greatest rides ever. It's a must-do for me, and I think the log is iconic too. But then I thought about it. I'm like, I went on the same log at Dorney or Hershey or all these other parks you go to. Essentially, if you go on a log flume, you're getting into a log that's pretty much like that one, almost anywhere in the country. So when I saw the keelboat, I was like, this looks really cool. I guess this should win. If I'm really going to separate it from the ride. Because essentially, if you've gone on a log flume anywhere in the world, you've gotten into a log that's crashed into water, and it's probably shaped pretty close to Splash Mountain. But that boat looks super cool. That is I feel like the keelboat is like a combination of the Nautilus was above water and also a Jungle Cruise boat. It's cool. So and again in this top half, I agree with every single one, which is very weird. I think that they eventually got all these right, at least for the top half. But yeah, the only one that I was like, oh man, was the Splash Mountain log.
Gotcha.
But maybe
And the
that's
Headliner better go very far. That changed the game too. That is a Tower of Terror-esque ride vehicle. Sorry.
But here's the thing, maybe not having ridden the ride is actually helps you be more objective about how good the ride vehicle is. If you've never been able to experience the ride, then you're judging solely based on what you think of the ride vehicle because you never experienced the ride.
Yeah. Well, and because you never experienced the ride, you don't know that the Mike Fink keelboat smelled any different than Splash Mountain, do you? All right, so for this next section, I want to turn it around. We'll start with Pete because I feel like Pete, we're saying all the things before you get a chance to say them. So we'll start with you on this bottom one here. What do you think there's any missteps on this bottom one, last section?
One, I didn't know Jill had an Omni Mover, so that's cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She rides it to work.
I agree with these. The Spaceship Earth should be at the Clammobile. The Time Rover should be at the Express Train. The Skyway Bucket over the Explorer Canoe. You know what it is? I think this half, this side of the bracket was seated correctly, where these were more gimmies, where the other side, again, you shouldn't have the Link chair up against something over there. When over here you have I feel like all the trash against we all knew what was going to win in all these categories. I'm pulling up the phone to see what else I missed, but just going down the list. Time Rover won. Again, that people go and take pictures with that. Even though there were Skyways and there's Skyliners, Skyways, whatever you want to call them around the country and the world, it was really cool to see those buckets flying across the sky at the Magic Kingdom. The Falcon cockpit is better. I mean, the only one that, again, I think was close for me was a Falcon cockpit to the Pirates of the Caribbean boat. And that, one, I'm always team boat. Two is that the Falcon cockpit is cool, and there's buttons you can press, and it's neat. But again, you're just getting in a simulator, which, again, I feel like I've gone to simulators at a local mall that were cool, too. But, I mean, I get it. This one has a few more buttons. You earn credits. It has different jobs. There's also levers. So I get it. Again, I probably could have been swayed to vote for the Falcon cockpit, but the Pirates of the Caribbean boat is I mean, again, I know it's just a boat, but that, it's so
Kamila, save us from Team Boat, for gosh sakes.
It is literally just a boat. Like I really,
yeah, woo!
I don't understand. Like, it's funny because before Pete was saying that, when I was recalling the conversation that they had on the last show about the Falcon cockpit, which I had completely, honestly forgotten about because I haven't ridden it in a while. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, that has to run away. Like, it has to go far in the brackets. I'll say at least that. So I feel like they got that one right. The Pirates of the Caribbean, I love the Disneyland version of the ride, but truly it's just a boat. And the only other thing I will say, and maybe I'm probably literally the only person who thinks this, but I do not care for those Dumbo ride vehicles. I would have selected the car. Sorry.
I'm totally with you.
Okay, Jill.
I'm very anti the Dumbo ride vehicle. It's not comfortable, and as the adult, you have to sit on the outside. I think I said this before, or maybe I said it last, but you have to sit on the outside, and it kind of tips down, and like you're gonna kind of spill out of the elephant. And as someone who is afraid of heights, I'm not cool with that. So I'm very anti-Dumbo. I don't think it's an enjoyable ride vehicle. I would not want to take it to work.
Yeah. Well, let me
also,
ask
I
you.
would never get there because it only goes around in circles.
Let me ask you about the time machine from Spaceship Earth versus the Clammobile. Did the Clammobile deserve to get nothing?
Yes.
No,
I mean,
absolutely not.
I mean, it came up with a big fat goose egg. Patrick, you're up, man.
Yeah, the Spaceship Earth, this goes again to pushing buttons on a screen. It's like, I have a cell phone. I can do that all the time. I don't need to get in a Spaceship Earth ride vehicle that is nothing more than hard molded plastic. Like,
Stop it.
There's nothing. No,
It's not
the Clammobile has.
All
It is
of
not
these are
comfortable.
hard molded plastic. This also, they have speakers behind your head. It is also an iconic omnimover.
The
It's a
Clammobile
vehicle that
has
has to be able to
speakers.
turn on a dime, go at a certain speed, high and slow, and you're rotating up a giant globe. And it has to work within the confines of that globe as well. Like, it's pretty incredible, especially if you go back to when it was built and conceived. This is something they were doing in the 70s before they even opened the park in '82. I mean, it's a pretty cool ride vehicle.
you can't credit the ride
from the
vehicle for the
70s.
fact that it's inside a sphere. Like, that is no reflection on the ride vehicle.
But again, I've been looking at all these with the time that they came out. Like, if they came out with, that's why I think Slinky Dog is cool. But it's like, again, anyone can do that in any theme park right now. At the time when they were building that vehicle, it was in the 70s, probably late 60s when they first started conceiving it. Of like, hey, we want to have this kind of vehicle inside of a giant floating globe that we don't know how it's going to stay up. It's just going to be 16.5 million pounds. Let's figure it out. And it's going to be 195 feet tall, and we're going to keep all the vehicles. I mean, it just was super cool with a screen and speakers built in behind you. I think, and it constantly is moving. It just, if you're going to say, I love the People Mover because it just is constantly moving, People Mover is a more basic version of this.
No. Wrong. Hold on now. The People Mover is so complicated that they can't even fix it. Okay?
Yeah, they're completely different. Completely different.
All right, so wait.
It has magnet.
Yeah, right, magnets,
Oh.
and Eric doesn't know how magnets work. Exactly. So again, I mean,
People Mover, but stop it.
All right, so here's one. Again, let's just take it for what it is. It's a vehicle. Here's one, and here's the other. This one is this. They're both Omnimover type, continuously loading attractions. This one has the clam doors that shut. If you're a little kid and you're picking one out of a lineup, just on the vehicle by itself, you pick this one first, and you don't give anything to the Clammobile.
That's what I'm saying, Rob. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, again, it's nostalgia, right? We all have a nostalgia. Jason said, just like he always does, and it was part of the bit, is, this is the one that's at Epcot, so that's why I'm choosing it. And again, love him for it.
It's not part of a bit. It's legitimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how that is. Yeah.
So let me ask you guys something that has nothing to do with any of this. Did you miss the sound effect of Nick interrupting Tom, or no?
With the votes, I mean, like twice, yes, but after that, like the 7 billion times it winds up happening over the course of a March Madness competition, no.
I kind of miss it. I kind of love that he jumps in and he waits for Tom to be at the worst possible moment, and then he jumps in on it. I miss that sound effect thing happening this year. So
how much longer would the episode have run last week if that happened, though?
I fell off. I was like, there is no way I can wake up with my toddler at 6:30, 7 o'clock if I just stay here watching this.
Yeah.
All right. So
I mean, what if he's only allowed to use it in the round of 16, 8, 4, and 2? Because I really missed it too, and honestly, anything that interrupts Tom is a great thing that we should not get rid of.
Well, okay, so let's look ahead to next week, and this is tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, they're going to be going through the rest of it in what is normally 2 nights. They're going to pump that into 1 because there's another March Madness coming right behind it. So I want to get your take on these and going around again. Patrick, I'm going to actually throw it to you again first. Looking at this first round, is there one that you think should definitely move through? Are there any scary matchups? What are you thinking?
Look at all those boats. So many boats.
Yeah.
Boats on boats on boats. I think the toughest matchup is actually a People Mover versus a Great Movie Ride Theater Car.
Yep.
I think
that's going to be
people
crazy.
Are voting for that based more on their love of the attractions than
Pete.
No way. So I was just hating on the People Mover. Now I'm the opposite. People Mover should run away with this. If you guys got rid of the all these other just that car is the same as the Ellen ride. It's the same as Run Amok Railway. It was a bunch of rows, except the front, the driver could hop on and off. It was a garbage truck that was trackless.
Hop on.
People could jump on and off. It's just rows. It was just rows of people where a guy could jump on and off with a microphone. That's all it was.
Wait and see how close that is. Wait and see how close that is.
I'm on board.
Yeah. Horizon's
it's just
vehicle
that Tom loves the Great Movie Ride.
Yep. Horizon's vehicle shouldn't beat the pirate ship, but it will. It's that simple. People love Horizons, even though most of the people who watch our show are too young to have ever ridden the attraction. I'm hopeful to see this be an all boat Sweet 16 over here. Can we get all boats? No, we can't get all boats, but we can get pretty close with a lot of boats. This is the boat bracket.
Do you do that just to get on Kamila's nerves? I feel like you do.
Absolutely.
Kamila, do you have a fear of water? What's the story?
I have a little brother syndrome.
Wow. Okay.
Can I just say, the fact that the Living with the Land boat is still there, how did that happen? And it's going to go up against the Jungle Cruise boat, which I really am not trying to get on a boat ever, but against Living with the Land, that's not even worth having a conversation.
Okay, all right. Jill, what do you think
Strong
about?
disagree, but Jungle Cruise will crush it, so you don't have to worry about it.
Jungle Cruise is rolling.
Yeah, I feel like that bracket is the bracket with the most controversial matchups. We're going to start out controversial on People Mover versus GMR. The top 2 are going to wind up being Nautilus versus Jungle Cruise, and I think that's going to be a tough one. So this I think is the hardest bracket to call what's going to come out of here, because there are so many so many really, and again, why were they all broken up into the brackets this way? I think this bracket got the strongest because Link Chair was in here too, and Tower of Terror Elevator was in this bracket, and they got bumped early. I don't think the bracket assignments and the seating really put us in a position to have a really competitive, any other brackets be super competitive other than this one. Because I think the other ones, it's clear like there's one or two strong contenders in each one. But this one, there's like 4.
Pete?
But,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Pete.
I was going to
just going to say, like, if I'm going to run through this real quick, because they're going to go all the way to the end. So if we're just talking about these top 4 matchups, I think obviously Nautilus wins. I think Jungle Cruise wins. I think then I hope Jungle Cruise then beats the Nautilus because it's to me it's more important. And there have been other rides that go underwater. I know the Nautilus is iconic too, but to me Jungle Cruise is more iconic. And then People Mover should beat the Great Movie Ride. Horizons will win, although I think People Mover should beat Horizons. So if it's my picks, I think it comes down to People Mover versus Jungle Cruise Boat, and I think Jungle Cruise Boat should beat the People Mover because you know what? Boats on boats on boats on boats.
No. Can I say a really difficult matchup, I think, is the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad versus the Stretch Limo. And I just want to say the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad train. Oh, sorry, I might have gone ahead early.
No, let's move.
No, let's do it.
Yeah.
Like to go on that ride, and truly I love it, but that ride vehicle is violent. I have lost more sunglasses and hats and things that I unfortunately just never got back on that ride vehicle. So I'm hoping the Stretch Limo advances.
Well, I mean, it's not like they don't warn you to please hold on to your hats and glasses
I mean,
because
this
here's
is
the wildest ride in the wilderness. I mean,
Also, if you're basing rides on that,
You're
you know how many
like,
cell
there's
phones
no
I've
way.
lost in the water at Walt Disney World, and yet I'm still team.
Yeah, but that's
I have
mostly
lost many cell
outside of
phones in
Jelly
water at
Rolls.
Walt Disney World, and I still love them.
That's
The
Jelly
thing
Rolls
is, I
related.
had sunglasses on, and they were like tucked into like the top of my shirt, and they were prescription, and so like I'm very biased against that ride.
What in the Wild West happened to those sunglasses?
I
That is
think post-show should
Exactly.
be stories
They
of
jumped
stuff
off.
we've lost in the parks. Can that be
That'd be
our
great.
post-show topic?
one of the
I have
first
an amazing story.
One of the first times I met Pete, he was we were riding through on Big Thunder during a past holder event, and he was sitting in the car in front texting the entire time, just chilling, sitting sideways.
Pictures.
Yeah, and sitting sideways, just taking pictures left and right and texting and whatever, and just like chilling. So I mean, it can be done, Kamila. You can just chillax on that ride. That can be done.
it's a soothing ride.
Yeah. So let me shoot this back up to Patrick and say, in this bracket, what are you feeling like is the one that's going to win it all?
I think it comes down to that matchup, the Thunder Mountain Train against Super Stretch. Both of those can go really long. Mine Train and Teacup, I would see a Mine Train could get an upset here. Ultimately, I think it should be the Prisoner Transport. I think that's really what it should be. It has an animatronic.
I disagree. I think that's
different.
the hardest matchup. To me, is that if you're talking about the train when it was at its full capacity, like talk about an awesome ride vehicle, steam coming out the back, you climb up the mountain, it's got the sound effects, it has the supplies on the back. I mean, it was so cool. I think it's one of the coolest roller coaster cars.
Yeah.
And it steams so well. You really feel like you're getting in a vehicle that takes you up the mountain. And what, you just
But
have
it
a little
doesn't
drive,
even-
Pete Carney versus
just
Carney.
things around. Beep, 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 red light, red light, red light. It's another
It has a
distracting
droid.
ride
Oh
vehicle.
my God. I will fight you over R5. Don't you dare
R5's
disparage
cool, but again,
R5.
I can make this. You put a little propeller in that it just twists back and forth. You make some beeping sounds. You put some red lights on it, and you're in another vehicle at Walt Disney World that's trackless. I mean, I think it's very cool. I'm underselling it for sure, but I think that is the hardest matchup on this side of the bracket. Is the ARS train versus the Prisoner Transport. I think that is the hardest one matchup. Now, again, I think whatever wins that matchup goes to the end of this bracket and then faces Jungle Cruise Boat, and that is going to be really hard. But I personally think the ARS train versus the Prisoner Transport, one of those two, whoever wins that should win this whole bottom half and go up against the Jungle Cruise Boat.
Okay. Jill, anything?
I absolutely think the Prisoner Transport deserves, I think it's a superior ride vehicle to every single other vehicle in this bracket. I'm not saying other ones in here aren't good. They absolutely are. completely disagree that the Everest train should give it a run for its money. I think it's far and away the best ride vehicle.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to this next group here. Patrick, I'm going to throw it to you first. So we're talking about at the top the railroad versus the dwarf minecart, the speeder versus the hang glider. Sounds like you're a hang glider fan.
Yeah, hang glider should walk. The biggest issue here is having safari truck against the sim car. Both of those are tremendous ride vehicles. It'd be hard to choose between the two. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those gets beat by the Viking ship. Viking ship is a vehicle that stayed the same through 2 attractions. It was Maelstrom, and then it was Frozen, Ever After, and it's just like, it's so great. They changed everything in the ride. You know what? The boat stays, and we can say that's a cost-cutting move, but it's just so gorgeous. It looks like a piece of art. I think hang glider ultimately takes it, but that bottom half of the bracket can get really interesting.
Yep. Jill?
I agree. I think Safari versus Sim Car is probably going to be the most heated debate here, and then whatever comes out of that, I don't know. I don't think Viking ship is going to win. I agree it's gorgeous, but being gorgeous to look at doesn't make it a superior ride vehicle in and of itself, because I think you could say that about a lot of other ride vehicles in this competition. But I think it will also be interesting. I think the railroad will beat the dwarf minecart and go up against the hang glider, and I think that will be I will be very interested to see what the panel has to say about that conversation, because they are so vastly different kinds of ride vehicles. I mean, they are like complete different ends of the spectrum in terms of what they are and what they do. So I will be very interested to see what that conversation looks like.
Yeah, Kamila?
I just want to point out the bias towards these basic boats that are literally just boats. But hold on, but the log ship somehow, the log ship was basic and you could find it anywhere, but the Pirates of the Caribbean boat or the Viking ship, you can't. Like, I just want to point that out, because you may not know. You may not know that you're doing it. Okay.
Basic
but otherwise, I don't understand. I don't think you know you're doing it. But yeah, otherwise, I think it's the safari truck.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and I think
for me, that's the standout.
Okay. All right. Pete, I mean, she's talking about basics. She's talking about your boats, man. Come on. What you got, Pete?
All right. I'll run through them real quick. Just some quick notes. So in the top half, doesn't matter. A hang glider should beat the other 3, right? So it doesn't matter what wins, the railroad, minecart, or star speeder. Hang glider should beat those 3. Then in the next one, I think you guys were dead on. I think the safari truck versus the sim car is going to be one of the hardest matchups of the entire bracket. Because, again, you have this $100,000 custom-made truck just for the safari at Walt Disney World versus, the sim car, which is the fastest ride at Disney. Also then used, because it was such a cool vehicle, they used it for Cars Land on the West Coast and changed the game. I think that matchup, I don't care who wins, to be honest, because I think they're both so iconic that I'd be okay either way. But I think, so hang glider, then whatever, safari truck or sim car. Viking ship, Patrick makes a great point, survived 2 rides, but I don't think it goes that far. I think another really hard one's going to be the Spaceship Earth Time Machine versus the Time Rover. Time Rover, again, another vehicle that changed the game. Mm-hmm. Every axis, it can, the back corner might be up, the front half might be down. It can change on a dime. Versus, again, I think one of the coolest omni-movers in the world, the Spaceship Earth, which, again, has lasted the test of time, and I think it's an iconic ride vehicle as well. And then, honestly, the rest doesn't matter, because Skyway Bucket, Falcon Cockpit, Liberty Bell, and Dumbo all can't beat Time Rover or Time Machine. So I think Time Rover, Time Machine, I think up against Doom Buggy will be a good, interesting argument, but I still think Time Machine or Time Rover wins the bottom half. And then the top, I don't know. Hang glider, safari truck, or sim car could go all the way as well. So those are my kind of picks, and then obviously you could follow the bracket to see how I think the rest will go.
Well, let's move backwards to Kamila. Your Doom Buggy's in this bottom half. What are you feeling? Mm-hmm. Are you still pulling for the Doom Buggy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think it will go farther than this, is my guess, but absolutely still pulling for the Dune Buggy. I think there's something really great about the simplicity. Well, yeah, no, I'm saying I think it'll beat there, and then I think it'll probably die out in the next round. But and And then Liberty Bell. I mean, Liberty Bell, I think deserves to go far. I think it's stunning, even if it's not something I particularly do often. I mean, it's a marquee attraction. It's in itself, it's a symbol. So,
yeah.
True.
Right.
What would that ride be without that ride vehicle?
It wouldn't.
Swimming?
It is the
I
ride
think it would
vehicle.
be swimming.
The ride vehicle is the ride. Yeah, I think this. So I personally, and this is because I know Tom is a huge fan of the Backlot Tour Tram. I think that's going to be a really fiery conversation. The Dune Buggy versus the Backlot Tour
So
Tram.
stupid.
I
It's a parking
think.
lot tour tram. It's just
Agree,
a tram that's
agree.
anywhere in the world. It's just because it was on a ride that
Agree.
you love.
But you can copy the Matterhorn and drop it in Epcot, and Tom will fight about it. So it's independent objective value is irrelevant. And I think, I don't know, I feel like the Time Rover should beat Spaceship Earth. I feel like Skyway should, I don't know. I don't know how the Skyway versus Falcon is going to go, because I think that is like, I think people like Marcy or Jason are going to vote Skyway because they love the nostalgia and the enjoyability of the ride. But I think other people will go for something that's more modern and high tech and interactive. But for me personally, I think the Liberty Bell should win this bracket. I think because, like we said, it is the ride. There is no ride without the Liberty Bell.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. It's iconic. It's fantastic. And but I don't think it will. But I think it should.
I think I'm gonna just jump on your point that I think is a one that no one talked about too. Is that what would the Rivers of America be without the Liberty Bell? Like, even if there wasn't that ride vehicle, what would that whole landscape look like if that boat wasn't there going around the Rivers of America? So I think it adds so much. And plus, also, hearing the whistle, even when like you're far away, like it creates atmosphere. I think the Liberty Bell is like legit a really, really, it should go far, but it won't. But yeah, Liberty Bell all the way, baby.
Patrick?
I'm going to make Kamila really mad at me. The Dune Buggy is trash.
Whoa.
It
What?
is
No way.
It's a black clamshell.
It
No
is the least
way.
important part of an iconic attraction. You're all talking about the attraction. You're not talking about the ride vehicle. It's the same Omni Mover that's in a lot of places, spray painted black.
No way.
It should get smashed by either the Time Machine or the Time Rover. But knowing who I know on there, it's going to walk into the finals. It might win this bracket. Literally, Liberty Bell, Dumbo, Falcon Cockpit and Time Machine or Time Rover should be able to beat it, but it won't. And the Skyway bucket, I get it. It's iconic. It flew through the park, and it's not there anymore. And I can drive up to Six Flags New England, and I can ride actually, I don't think it's even there anymore. I mean, we got the Skyliner, which isn't an attraction, but I don't know. Get the Skyway bucket out of there. I think that shouldn't even have made it. I think there was better vehicles in the Disney Death Match.
Okay, so before we go any further here, I think that we need to. You guys need to have a little talk here.
Oh, hey, I got my own name.
Can I just say, the thing about Haunted Mansion, the ride, you have, and Disney is not known, in my opinion at least, more recently they're better at this, but the queue in that ride actually leads up to this moment when you are going to get in the Dune Buggy, and they are literally transporting you to the afterlife. They're putting you in a coffin, okay? They're like, this is how you're going to be able to see the ghosts in this ride. The outfits, the costume, everything is leading up to this moment when you get in the coffin. And I get that it's simple, but it's necessary. I mean, the ride vehicle, I think, sets up the ride.
Yeah, okay.
And it's comfortable
I think
and it's fun, and you get your own.
That's true. I think it is a vehicle that we've seen in many other attractions, and it is a truly great attraction. It's one of the best attractions in the history of the Disney parks, but I don't think that vehicle made it. I actually think they could revamp that with a better vehicle. You're talking about a coffin. I would love to get in a coffin, not a black clammobile.
Can I just say, now do Pirates of the Caribbean boat ride.
Oh, no. I voted against Pirates of the Caribbean boat ride. It
But
deserved to lose.
all
That
those
boat isn't
boats,
that great.
The same. It's that bias again.
No. The Jungle Cruise boat has a canopy, and they have names, and they change the names for Christmas. And I have like 6 of them on my Christmas tree. It's gonna win.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. It's obviously we're going a lot longer than we should have, but honestly, we talked about all of this their picks and then our picks for next week in I got like 30 minutes as opposed to 3 hours that they did. So I think we did pretty good in flying through this with a lot of people. But I do want to ask you, because they are going to pick next or tomorrow night the finals for these. Each of you, I want to go around and ask each of you which one you think goes all the way. And while you're thinking about that, I do want to thank everybody who has been watching. I want to ask you to give us a like if you liked what you saw tonight, so other people can find it. Please give us a thumbs up. It helps us out a lot. Also, a big thank you to our WIGS members for joining us. And if you want more information on WIGS, just join us at patreon.com/WIGS. So I'm looking for one that you think to rule them all. And I'm going to start with you, Patrick. What is the one that you think was going to, and knowing the panel too, what is the one that's going to like win it all?
Jungle Cruise boat. I just said it in my argument with Kamila. I think the Jungle Cruise boat takes it. It has so much personality on its own. You're going to see it represented in a movie that has The Rock in it. None of these other attractions have The Rock in them. And I think that The Rock gives it his signature of approval. And Jungle Cruise boat is the greatest ride vehicle ever at Walt Disney World.
Okay. Jill? Oh, she's muted. We're muted.
I agree with Patrick. If it were me, that's not what I would pick, but I kind of think he's right. I think that based on who the panel is and what the conversation has been thus far, I think Jungle Cruise boat, yeah, it's iconic. It's unique. It's so much of the ride. Yeah.
No. Okay. Kamila?
I think my pick would be Prisoner Transport. Patrick and Jill know that panel better, so if they think it's going to be Jungle Cruise, they can say that. But I think if not Jungle Cruise, then maybe Prisoner Transport.
Okay. And Pete?
So my final 4 were Jungle Cruise and Prisoner Transport versus Hang Glider and Time Rover. And then I had my heads-up matchup was Hang Glider versus, and honestly it doesn't matter because I had that losing. I had it coming down to Jungle Cruise versus Prisoner Transport. And even though I was voting against Prisoner Transport, I do think it's the coolest. I think it's a cooler ride vehicle than Jungle Cruise boat. I think the Jungle Cruise boat wins the whole thing. That is my what I think they will pick. But the more you think about the Prisoner Transport, and I was teasing that it's just R5, it really does so much besides it being trackless. It also goes up elevators seamlessly. There's a drop sequence like Tower of Terror at the end. It also slides in horizontally as opposed to vertically.
It goes outside.
When you ride, it does a lot of cool stuff. It is a revolutionary ride vehicle that kind of encompasses, I think, like 5 or 6 other rides and technologies that Disney has developed over the years. So I think Prisoner Transport would probably have been my pick for the whole bracket, but I do think the Jungle Cruise will take it on this panel.
You know what I find ironic about that is I think this Mike Fink keelboat looks more like the Jungle Cruise movie version of the Jungle Cruise boat than the actual Jungle Cruise boat does. So I think that, if it was...
How dare you use
logic and
back all
facts?
the Mike Fink keelboats and getting rid of the Jungle Cruise boats?
Yeah, sure. That's what's going to happen. Exactly. Yeah. All right, so thank you guys so much. We will be back next week to talk about whatever happens tomorrow night. And then also we have a quick post show for our WIGS members, so stick around for that. Everyone else, thanks so much. We hope to see you next Wednesday. Good night.
Dun, 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 dun.
That was too early.
You're killing me with the boats.